and welcome to Crafts and Crime. I'm Amy.
I'm Elaine.
And as always, we have a craft and a crime.
Whoop, whoop.
So we were having a little bit of technical difficulties. Thankfully, we figured out what it was.
It's not production unless something with the equipment stops working.
Seriously. And we can thank my dog because he, for some reason, came in here when we had all of our stuff set up.
Which they never do.
No, the dogs like never come in here. And Ralph, he's so old and limpy and gimpy, and he
probably just couldn't hop out. So
no,
he just
couldn't.
pulled. He was
just,
like, help!
Yes, he got all tangled up in all of our wires and took the whole entire soundboard thingy, whatever it is.
The mixer.
Down, the mixer, yeah. And took it down, and it was like hanging, and he's all tangled up in his hips. And I was like, Ralph, are you kidding me? So, yeah, now my headphones aren't working, but we figured it out. It's not the headphones, it's the wire.
Yeah, it's the auxiliary port.
Yeah, it's the wire that connects our headphones.
Mm-hmm.
So we have it like plugged into, it's all super techy, but no.
It's like when the charge port
splitter
on your phone stops working and you have to like put something underneath it to lift the cord up so it connects the cable tines. That's what we're doing now.
This reminded me so much of like walking with my not my Walkman, my CD player to the bus stop, and the headphones, you'd have to like pinch it and like twist it, and it's like you gotta hold it like a certain way so and the sound keeps going in and out. That's exactly what it was like. Yep. It was like, I can hear myself. Nope, now I can't.
Yep. And it's because, well, see, I had amazing, like, they weren't Junko Jean brand, but that was part of my like junior high school goth style, was those big giant like rave pants. And I had a pair of denim ones that had blue piping, and then I had a pair of the big black ones that were Trip brand from Hot Topic, and they were hot pink and black, mostly black with hot pink trim, and the pockets were actually big enough that you could put the whole Discman in your pocket, the whole thing.
I had to walk with it like a sandwich.
Yep, because the anti-skip protection was garbage and it would drain your batteries in like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Y'all don't know the struggle if you are under the age of 28. I say 26
yeah.
27.
Yeah,
it's
because
hard.
my brothers, I think, had the same thing with their CD players. But then I found all my dad's.
They were all getting like iPod shit, right? Like, or like shuffles.
Yeah, they
or
were,
the little
because
teeny
I got
baby
my
ones.
first iPod in high school.
Yeah.
But
so they were younger than that.
Yeah. So, and then I found in the garage my dad's old cassette tapes and Walkman, and so then I would walk to the bus stop with my Walkman and listen to like Cheap Trick, and
it's fun.
And yeah, so anyways, but yeah, so my headphones, I need to order another wire, and you need to send me the link so I can replace
think it was
it.
like $11.
I know, I'm like, thankfully it's the cheap thing and not like something big.
Yeah, no, it's only like $11, and more than likely
now I've been like pushing the wires under the desk when like we're not recording. Like, I gotta do that. But yeah, the one time out of all the times that he comes out. But what else? Oh, he just went to the feed store today. Wouldn't be our
and they're
podcast
hiring, and I really want to work there.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, I think you'd have to, like, if you're not working behind the register, you'd have to lift all the heavy bags of food.
I didn't ask what position it was for.
Yeah, so I needed the chick starter because I have chickens hatching tomorrow.
And I just need to go because I love that store.
Yeah, and you keep me company.
Support your local businesses. I'm sure there is a feed store in your area if you just look. It doesn't have to be Tractor Supply, as much as I love them, but it's,
Yeah, we were buying. We used to buy our rabbit food from Walmart. Ooh, that's squeaky. And then I compared the price, and it was way cheaper at the feed store. And then same thing with the chicken food. It's a lot of times cheaper at and even dog food.
Yeah.
Can be cheaper. They have
the
dog food, cat food, horse food, pig food, goat.
The black oil sunflower seeds. A 5-pound bag is $6. And on Amazon, a 5-pound bag is like $8 to $10.
Yeah.
So seriously, these places do have better prices. You just have to check.
Yeah, so that's why we were like, oh, let's just go. And I think we needed, what was it? I needed quail food, right? What did we go for the first time with Sandro?
Because I was getting ready to The chickens were coming to my house.
Oh, that's right. Oh no, they were about to
so-
hatch because Sandro just missed it. They
yeah,
were
and
about
I
to
needed to get the chick. That's right. I needed to get chick food, and that's right. That's
That's
and
what I
I
needed
got.
today.
I needed to get the oyster shells.
Oh yeah. So it's nice when it's a
and-
one-stop shop and you can just get everything there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've gone a couple times. That's down the street with a giant rooster in front.
Yep.
Like
Shout
a
out
big-
to All Pet Feed and Tack.
in San Bernardino. So we just located ourselves. No, we could have.
It's not
lived
that
in-
close.
No, it's not. It's really not. It's a good 15-minute drive.
They're
So,
still amazing. It's close
yeah.
by. I know that locally, people in the IE have come here forever, and this is like the largest county in all
Yeah.
of the state.
Mm-hmm.
There is more people. I think I've mentioned this before.
I think so.
more people in the county that we live in than all of the entire state of Oregon, where I grew up.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yep, there's like 2.2 million people in this county.
Mm-hmm.
It's the largest in the whole country.
Yep.
And there's like only, I think it's like 1.8 million people in Oregon.
That's
all of
crazy.
Oregon.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Oregon is not tiny, and that's what I forget. It's like just there's so many people that live here in California
Yeah.
that it's just really
San Bernardino
unbelievable.
County is really, really big.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's like that Facebook group. I'm like, I don't think it's specific for like the city. I think it's for the whole county. That I live.
SoCal?
Yeah, no, not the SoCal.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that one. I think it's like.
I love San Bernardino. It's like the county.
I think it's the county. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So, but whatever. So
Yeah.
we have.
I love mom and pop stores. And that whole little
yeah.
area is super cute. It's themed as a Western.
It
It
is.
is so weird.
Then there's that little like vintage store, or whatever that is.
It's like a little
but-
tiny thrift store.
Yeah.
We just don't ever like have time set aside for just that too, but we have to do
or
that.
money.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm like afraid to go into.
And
a
it
thrift
doesn't
store
even
and-
matter if it's $1 when you have like 40 things that cost between
Yeah.
$1 and
I
$3.
I know that was like when we went to Aldi yesterday. I was like, this is gonna be more than I
It's
thought.
hard, yeah.
But it wasn't. I was under my budget.
Dude, it was crazy. Like, I did not do any math, and I could only spend $75. That's what I had set. I was like, this is all I can spend. It's like the end of the week, so it's kind of like planning for stuff that I can use next week too.
Mhm.
Sorry, I moved away from my mic. And
Wasn't your total like 69 or something like that? Because I almost laughed.
yes, yeah, it was. But at the same time, like, I was just like, I think this is fine.
Yeah, that was me
Like,
too. I think I'll
but
be
when you
okay.
go shopping a lot, you end up you're good at it.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
really figure it out by eye when you, especially
Mhm.
because we tend to buy kind of the same things,
Yeah,
just
it's
not
like-
exactly all at the same time, but like. It's pretty, you buy the same things eventually, and then you're kind of like, all right, this looks like it's going to be about $100.
Yeah, and all of the stuff was on sale pretty much. Our
That's
whole cart
true.
was
We
like
did. That was
really
the
on sale.
reason why
Man,
we
that
went.
chicken was so cheap. Like 99
Oh,
cents a
yeah.
pound. I was
Oh,
like,
I know.
dang.
When I looked at the receipt, it was like, I think,
I know we have to do the math because I need to.
oh, yeah, it's not a huge deal
Yeah.
whenever you can. It was like, you could, because there was only a limit of two.
A limited
so
two, so
I bought hers.
yeah.
Because we don't really eat thigh meat that much.
Mhm.
It's like very specific to like what you're planning on making,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
teriyaki chicken kind of situation.
Mhm.
So, and so it was, it was really a super good deal. And when I looked at the receipt, I think you saved like $11
Yeah.
on one and like $5 or $6 on the other.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
I was like, whoa, when I looked at my receipt and I was telling
Mhm.
Jack
Yeah.
when my mom was cutting his hair.
It's just so stressful though, because the price is not at the like thing. It gets taken off
At the
at
end.
the register.
Yeah.
So we just have like the ad.
Uh-huh,
So you're
you
like
have to know.
trying to do. I think that was kind of one of the things too. Is my brain was going, this is going to be a little bit more expensive, but like all the fruit was on sale.
Mhm.
Most of the things we grabbed were on sale.
I know we need to.
Those damn flyers.
I
the
know.
junk mail flyers.
I'm glad Jack said something though, because usually I get them in the mail and I just throw them away because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll see it on Instacart or Walmart
Exactly.
or whatever.
But you don't, because
no.
you're not searching through the whole.
And
the whole
Instacart
format
doesn't
of the
have the
store.
same prices as in store.
Nope.
They don't
Sometimes
have
they
the sales
do,
and
but not
stuff.
here.
Yeah. No, some stores do, but Aldi doesn't. But
No.
anyways, enough with the chit chat talking about grocery shopping.
It wasn't chickens the entire time. Just
I
for
know,
like
just the chicken food.
talking about the food.
Yeah, I know. So I'm excited. I have my chicks hatching this weekend.
I'm so excited to see them too.
Yeah, my quail are all in the garage. They
Oh, all of them are
hatched.
done? Like how many
Yeah, I
didn't
think
make it?
so. I think there's like eight or nine eggs that didn't hatch.
That's
I'm like, I'm
still
just
a
gonna.
lot
Yeah,
of
I have
chicks.
like 17 or 18. They're so small I can't count. And I just like woke up in the morning and I was like, whoa, I have like way too many chicks. I was like, that's a lot. And I think it's like 17 or 18.
I totally bet you that the feed store would buy some.
I know.
Like, if you just want to...
I should have mentioned it, but they were kind of busy.
Yeah, because it's like lunchtime.
Yeah.
That's probably why. So I'm thinking, like, just... Even if you're going to end up getting wholesale, you can get rid of them. You don't have to worry about... You get, like... If they can mark... What'd you say? Like, because by that time, they're going to be full size, probably.
Yeah.
But people could still, like, what's wrong? Why? They're so tiny. They could keep, like, 5 or 6 of them in one of those little stalls that they have in the back, I'm sure. Or, like, in its own little pen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Should totally ask.
I know. I know. A steady stream
New venture. Oh my God.
Of eggs. Then I won't
Sorry,
have
I've been
any
excited for you. We used to see quail hatch all the time.
I know.
I'm gonna let them know about my Ayam Simani if they want some, because I know one of the chicks. See, here we go. Sorry, chickens. One of the chicks I have is a rooster. For sure. Yeah. And so if I can just breed him, like if the other 5 tend to be girls. Which I think Krusty Chrissy is Krusty Christopher. Just a runt. I'm not really sure. But anyway, I'm like, I could have those. Yeah. Like they could sell a rare chicken one time or two. Okay, anyway, let's hear. I'm excited. Let's hear your craft.
Yeah. I am like
we got excited.
I know. We always get excited about chickens. But
they are
now
birds are so cute.
Yeah. Now we can get excited about the craft.
Yay!
So this idea came to me yesterday because my mom came over and got 2 of my kids. It was funny because I told her to come over because I had the chicks, the quail, and she's never seen them when they were like fresh hatched. And so I told her, I was like, oh, you should come over today so you could see the chicks. They're all pretty much done hatching, I think. And so she was like, well, if I come, I got to take a kid. And I'm like, well, which kid do you want to take this time? You got 4 to choose from. And
she's so sweet. She wanted to take mine too.
Yeah, she was like, I could take Lenore too.
Of course, Lenore fucking fell asleep.
I know.
Poor baby. She's like my tired baby. She has a bad sleep schedule, but like that kid can sleep.
Yeah, she
like
can.
It like
instantly. You look over and she's out.
She's asleep. She's like Lily grown up.
Yeah.
Just naps all
that was yesterday.
day.
Lily
the
was
nap
on
queen.
Yeah, Lily was on the couch yesterday, and I looked over and she was out, and I was like, "Oh,
so funny,
just like Lenore." So, yeah, my mom took Avery and Lillian, and she's just taking them for a few days to the house to swim and stuff. And she was like, "You want me to take Lenore too?" Because it's just my mom, and I was like, "Well, I don't know. I'll ask." But I think we decided they're going to do a beach trip instead, with the big kids. So Troy, Lenore, Avery. We'll go to the beach, and that'll be fun.
We should do that after we come back from our vacation, because the beach in Oregon is cold. You'd be like, now here's this one.
Yeah.
Because it'll be cooler. It's definitely going to be a different experience for Lenore, and I would love her to get to be like, this is the kind I grew up in.
Yeah.
And this is the kind you are growing up in.
I know.
That'll be really fun. And then it won't be like 1,000 degrees.
Yeah. My mom was thinking of maybe like the first week of August too. And just for like, because it'll just be a few days. But anyways, sorry. We keep going on tangents. That's just what we do. So anyways, my mom came over yesterday and she trimmed up Jack's hair, gave him a haircut because his hair was getting kind of crazy. And so I'm sitting there talking to her, and then I was like, I know my craft. Scissors. Scissors. So I'm still doing like the tools of crafts, so okay, so scissors, as we all know, they're just, I think everyone has a pair of scissors in their house. So scissors are a pair of metal blades pivoted so that the sharpened edges slide against each other when the handles, or bows as they're called, opposite to the pivot, are closed. And just like when I was talking about needles, there's different kinds of needles for whatever. The same thing with scissors. There's, think, if you close your eyes and think, like, picture all the different types of scissors. There's a ton. And so there are scissors for like thin materials, like cutting, paper, cardboard, metal, foil, cloth, rope, whatever. And then there are shears, such as hair cutting shears and kitchen shears. So hair cutting shears have like specific angles in order to cut the very fine, thin hair. And then, kitchen shears or kitchen scissors are for like cutting through meat
and bones, right? Like
yeah. And then there's egg scissors for cutting open eggs. You could get like the big ones, or for quail. I have the little tiny quail egg scissors.
That is so crazy to just like a pair of scissors that are going to chop open a chicken egg and it doesn't crush the shell to bits.
Yeah,
is that
it
how
slices it.
Is that what for like the super soft boiled eggs?
Yeah,
like
where you put it in the little thing
in the cup. That's what they freaking do.
Yeah, they cut it.
Crazy.
And so you can do the same thing with quail eggs.
Cool.
Yeah. So okay. So scissors can be dated all the way back to 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. And the earliest known scissors were found in Mesopotamia. And these scissors were known as spring scissors. And they were two bronze blades connected at the handles by a thin, flexible strip of curved bronze. And this held the blades in alignment and allowed them to be like squeezed together, and then they'd pull apart, so they'd spring apart.
Oh, okay.
And these spring scissors were used in Europe all the way until the 16th century. And then the pivoted scissors made of bronze or iron were blades. The blades were pivoted at a point between the tips and the handles. So think about your scissors now. It's that point in the center. And these were the direct ancestor of modern scissors, like I said, and they were invented by the Romans around 100 AD.
Of course it was.
Yeah. So
either the Romans or the Egyptians, because they're geniuses.
Yeah. So they were obviously common use in ancient Rome, but also in China, Japan, and Korea. And this idea is still used in almost all modern scissors. And ancient Egyptian scissors dating to 1500 BC have been found by archaeologists, and they resembled like wheat scythes that were joined together, similar to like the old version of scissors.
Okay.
So during the Middle Ages and Renaissance, spring scissors were made by heating a bar of iron or steel and then flattening and shaping its ends into blades on an anvil. And then the center of the bar was heated, bent to form the spring, and then cooled and reheated to make it like flexible.
Okay.
And so just kind of picture like in your hands, if you do like the alligator, thing, it's just like whoop, whoop, whoop. It's a little springy thing.
Gotcha.
William Whitley and Sons was producing scissors by 1760, and then the first trademark was granted in 1791. And the company is still manufacturing scissors today, and it is actually the oldest company in the West to do so. And pivoted scissors were not manufactured in large numbers until 1761, when Robert Hinchliffe of this company produced the first pair of modern-day scissors made of hardened and polished cast steel. Ooh. And his major challenge was to form the bows. So first he made them solid, then he drilled a hole, and then he filed away at the metal to make this large enough to accommodate like fingers. So in the bow. So he punched it and then had to,
Ooh, wow.
So it was a very laborious,
I can't imagine.
Like just to grind away.
Taking a hand file.
Yeah.
Just like.
Yeah, to make a little hole for your fingers for the scissors. So.
I bet it was kind of sharp.
Yeah. And so he then improved on them and like on that process in order to increase production.
Uh-huh.
And during the 19th century, scissors were hand-forged with decorative handles, and they were made by hammering steel on indented surfaces known as bosses, and that helped form the blades. And the rings and the handles known as bows were made by punching a hole in the steel and then enlarging it with the pointed end of an anvil. So, like, using that to make the holes.
Cool.
In 1649, in Swedish-ruled Finland, an ironworks was founded in the village of Fiskars. And in 1830, a new owner started the first cutlery works in Finland and made other items and scissors with the trademark Fiskars.
That's awesome.
I have some Fiskars.
I think I do too.
Yeah.
I think most crafters probably have owned a pair at least once.
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah. Okay, so scissor making in Japan evolved from sword making in the 14th century. Seki in, I hate when I can't say the names, Gifu Prefecture was a renowned center of sword making beginning in the 1200s. And after citizens were not allowed to carry swords, The city's blacksmiths then turned to making scissors and knives instead of swords.
Nice.
So there are many specialized types of Japanese scissors, but sewing scissors were introduced by American Commodore, Matthew Perry from the United States in 1854.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't
Matthew Perry the name of the guy from Friends?
I think so, yeah.
Sorry.
It is. I was like, oh, I know him. The Sasuke Workshop in Sakai City, south of Osaka, is run by I heard his name a bunch of times. Yasuhiro Hirakawa.
Okay.
So he's a fifth generation scissor smith.
Awesome.
And the company has been in operation since 1867. And he is the last traditional scissor maker in Japan, making scissors in the traditional style. And the blades are believed to be thinner, lighter, and sharper than European scissors.
I bet they are.
In 2018, he was in a documentary that featured a pair of his bonsai snips that retailed for $35,000.
Holy snap.
Yeah, people would actually wait a year to get scissors made by him. And he actually comes from a long line of blacksmiths spanning 22 generations.
I love it.
And his great-great-grandfather was the one that brought scissor making into the family business in 1867. And I watched a documentary on Insider Business on YouTube, and he shows the pair of scissors that he's most proud of, and it's a beautiful pair of scissors. And I got goosebumps. It's so pretty. It's like decorated with gold, and it took him 3 years to make and costs $26,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So crazy expensive scissors.
He's like paying his yearly wage with a pair of scissors. Even though he's probably making multiples at a time. But that's so badass.
I know.
Does it say why it took so long? Why it takes so long?
Because of the precision, I guess. It's just, it takes time because he's doing it the old way. So he puts it actually in like a wood burning fireplace. He doesn't use like a gas oven or whatever.
Torches, those crazy. So it takes
he does
quite a while to get red
old school
hot.
way, and he layers pieces and he hammers it out by hand. And
dang, I gotta watch that documentary.
It's really good.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Yeah, I watched it twice.
Cool.
It's really good.
Cool.
And then another one which we could watch, like we could watch both of them because they're pretty short. They're like, I think one's 10 minutes and one's like 15 minutes or something. So I watched another one, and it's Business Insider. It's really good. Follow it on YouTube. It's really cool.
I think Business Insider was where my Tyrion Purple one of the videos came from.
Yep, because I watched it when I was watching Most Expensive and stuff, and why it's so expensive. And so this other one, there's Japanese hair shears that can cost over $2,000, and these scissors, like, they'll last a long time, and they're way sharper than just your standard hair shears. And hairdressers like insist that the quality is worth the price because they're really sharp. They are ergonomically friendly, so the hands don't get tired as fast.
I'm waiting for the price tag.
And they last a long time and don't require regular maintenance. And the one lady said she has a pair that's like $2,200 and then one that's like $4,000. Like, they can range, but it's in that range. It's
Are
not
they lifelong scissors?
Yeah, they last a long time. And so they don't need to be like oiled regularly. Because usually what happens is that little point, that hinge, will get loose, and then the shears will like grind.
That is the worst part.
Yeah,
or they end up like a bird beak, and they're like open in the middle, and it doesn't snip because it's not connecting.
So however these are made, it's like they don't require a lot of maintenance.
Do they have a lifetime warranty?
I think so.
Let's
I don't know, but yeah, there's like people that'll come in and they've been using the same scissors for like 50 years or whatever. And
so they must just never loosen, so they don't wear down on themselves.
No, because if they do, then you have to grind it if you get like the bad bits, in the blade part. So
crazy.
Yeah. So like I was saying earlier, there's like scissors for everything. And then I saw on Wikipedia this whole list, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't name them all, but I'll name some. So think about your gardening stuff. So you got your grass shears, pruning shears. Then in the kitchen, you got your poultry shears. Then, you have your hair thinning shears, nail scissors, mustache scissors. You've got snips for cutting through sheets of metal.
Yeah.
You've got tons of like surgical scissors, bandage scissors.
Oh my God. Right off the top of my head, the cuticle scissors are a little scoop that folds over almost to a crisscross so that you don't have to cut any other part of your skin.
Yeah.
It's like magic. It's crazy.
I know.
It really, it's like, see, this is what we talk about all the time. We've used scissors our whole life.
Yeah.
How many of us have like looked it up?
Yeah. Where did they come
I
from?
love it. I love
this. And then,
and that's why we do this, because it's so
I
fun
know.
and we just want to share it with each other and
Yeah.
you.
And then I was like, as I'm looking through the list, I was like, oh my gosh, the giant ceremonial scissors. The whoosh, the giant ones.
That are totally functional.
Yeah,
and crazy.
they work. They'll cut through that ribbon.
Yes.
Then you have, let's see, like dressmaker shears, embroidery scissors, pinking shears, and like just so many more. Like so many more. And there's even specific scissors created for left-handed people. And these scissors have reverse finger grips and reverse blade connection. And they are basically a mirror image of right-handed scissors.
And it freaking matters.
It does.
Because my daughter is left-handed.
And my husband and my son are left-handed.
And my mother-in-law and a couple of my cousins.
Yeah. So we have a lot of lefties.
Apparently, my aunt had the left-handedness beaten out of her in school, though. And my mother-in-law did say they really tried very hard to keep them from using the left hand. But yeah, it matters if she uses right-handed scissors. She's like, why isn't it cut? It's so weird.
Yeah, just like if you were to try to take, if you're trying to take it in your left hand, or even take a lefty scissors and try to use it in the right hand, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So it's the way that the angle is. So it's like
blows
reversed.
My mind.
It's like flipped because of the way that you're putting the pressure, So anyways, okay. So now I just have a bunch of fun facts because I was like, I don't know how to fill in this.
I have one in case you don't cover it. So
okay.
That would be cool.
So I have a lot of fun facts.
I know one thing about scissors.
Is you cannot use them if they're lefty scissors.
And don't you dare use mom's fabric scissors for anything outside of fabric.
No. Yeah.
Number one breaking sin of crafting.
I know. When the kids will try to use my embroidery scissors to like cut a zip tie or something, I'm like, no. You gotta get it off alignment. Okay, so here's some fun facts. Most manufacturing of modern day scissors is from China. Yeah, they do about over like 60%, I think.
Cool.
And then can you name a movie right off the top of your head?
Edward Scissorhands.
Yep. So
it's one of my favorites. I cry every time I watch it.
Multiple pairs of scissors. So, okay. So then in parts of North Africa, it was held that scissors could be used to curse a bridegroom.
Oh.
When the bridegroom was on horseback, the person enacting the curse would stand behind him with the scissors open and call his name. If the bridegroom answered to his name being called, the scissors would then be snapped shut and the bridegroom would be unable to consummate his marriage with his bride. Yeah.
That sucks.
Isn't that the worst? Like, but he has to be on horseback.
Ooh.
Away from you.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Tricky.
In Pakistan, some believe that scissors should never be idly open and closed without purpose. This is believed to cause bad luck.
I will always like.
I know, me too.
Like
I'm
the tongs.
Yeah, you just got to test them out. That's a purpose. I just need to test them.
Right? Got to make sure that the little screw didn't loosen up in the middle.
Yeah. As iron was believed to ward off fairies, British parents traditionally hung a pair of iron scissors over cradles to keep fairies away. Sometimes the scissors were kept open to make the shape of a cross for extra protection. So
and then what if they fell?
I know. Stab a baby.
What a horrible idea.
I know. Or the baby gets it.
Tries to put it in their mouth.
Yeah. Cut all their hair off in the middle of the night.
God.
So in the United States, in New Orleans, some believe that putting an open pair of scissors underneath your pillow at night was a sound method for sleeping well, even if one is cursed.
Yeah, and the way I sleep, I would slide my hand under the pillow and be stabbed.
Yep.
And then curse with blood all over the bed.
Yeah, then I would be cursing.
Laundry, exactly.
Curse with laundry. In some Eastern European countries, it is believed that leaving scissors open causes fights and disagreements within a household.
Oh.
In China, it is believed that
Damn, you got a lot of facts about scissors.
in China, that's why I'm like, I don't know where to put these in. They're just fun facts.
Yeah.
So in China, it is believed that to give scissors to a friend or loved one is to be cutting ties with them. In China, so
that's weird.
Like, don't give each other a pair of scissors.
Yeah, not a gift. Don't include scissors in that sewing box.
And then last, there's just some animals named after scissors, and they include the scissor-tailed flycatcher of North and Central America, the scissor-tailed hummingbird,
cute,
the scissor-tailed kite, a bird that is widespread throughout Africa, and the scissor-tailed nightjar of South America. And then there is a fish called the scissor-tail rasbora, several species of fish that are commonly used for freshwater aquariums.
Oh, that's interesting.
So there's a lot that are named after scissors.
I like that.
So, yeah, and that's all my fun facts. And that's it that I have about scissors. I mean, I could have gone on a lot into detail of the lefty scissors and stuff, but I was like, meh, I don't want to bore you guys. It's a lot of information.
That was so cool, though. My one fun fact.
Okay.
I ran out of breath. That was weird. Is teeny tiny little embroidery scissors. You know how they have the stork, the little stork decoration.
They're carried by midwives, right?
Yeah, it was originally because the umbilicus clamp was big, and they formed the handles because Victorians like to be fancy with everything, and so because I love Victorian pieces, so the clamps were quite large, like 7 inches long, and so the bird was the entire handle, and so it really looked like a big stork. So they continued it down to the little tiny scissors, and I love them. They're so cute. It.
Doesn't your sister have a pair that are like the stork ones?
Yeah, I think I do too.
You do? Okay.
I think
I know I've
do,
seen it. Maybe it was Crystal. Like, I
do.
Really
Crystal does. She has the I think she has like 6 pairs of embroidery scissors.
I have one I stole from Avery.
I have a couple pairs. Yeah. I'm like trying to keep my feet
I have the ones that I've been using for my cross stitch is just the Singer sewing machine, like the Singer ones, and they're pink, and I have like the big ones that I keep in the kitchen for like cutting open boxes, and then the little ones, they're nothing fancy, but it's just I want to get a nice pair of embroidery scissors, but I don't know. I leave my scissors laying out too much. Like earlier,
I
like,
lose
you should put
them a lot.
Well, because I'll be working and I'll leave it on the side table, and then Lincoln Lily will get them and cut them up blankets. Yeah. But then what was it?
Embroidery scissors
leaving
are
open.
So,
I was looking through, and I was like, "There's nothing about I don't leave them open.
That's dangerous in general.
I just open and close them with no purpose. Yeah. And then so if I leave them,
you're just cutting ghost hair.
If I leave it open, that would cause fights and disagreements. Yeah. In Eastern European countries, so like Germany. My husband's German. So I'll leave him open and see if he gets it. You're gonna cause a fight.
You're gonna.
I'm just experimenting.
Okay, well, we'll find out.
I know. Okay.
We'll come back with an update.
I know.
Time to bring it on down.
Okay.
So this was really interesting because I found my case like just going down a rabbit hole of like looking at Amish and Mennonite in general. Oh, okay. Like when I grew up in Oregon, there was I'm pretty sure it's a Mennonite community in the like Woodburn area. And I remember I just love their dresses because they make them and they're beautiful, and I've always loved dresses. And so I went down a rabbit hole, and then the thing popped up, and then there was like all these news articles, and I was reading, and I was like, oh, okay. So I got pretty much most of this from watching a video on the channel Explore With Us on YouTube. And then my sources will also have like the news articles that I saw first. And so I really recommend people go watch this video because it's like 49 minutes long. So I'm shortening it. Yeah. So this is the, I'm so sorry, the case of Sasha Krause. Okay. February 22nd, 2020, a woman, really
recent. I'm like, whoa.
And I haven't heard of it at all. Does it sound familiar to you?
No, okay. I don't think so. Maybe as you're reading, I might have come across
I'm so super surprised because we're so close to this area too. Cynthia Schultz was camping, and in her campsite area, she was walking around and gathering firewood, and it was really early in the morning at the Sunset Crater National Park outside of Flagstaff, Arizona, by like just about 20 miles or 32 kilometers. And she saw a woman lying face down, kind of like on her stomach, and she was calling out to her, you know, like, hey, are you okay? Because it's a campground.
Yeah,
Maybe she got drunk and lost or something. So she's like, hey, are you okay? She's calling out to her, and there's no answer. And as she walks up closer, it's very obvious that this woman is not alive.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So she immediately calls the police. She has, you know, cell phone reception. So she immediately calls the police, and they show up, and they are now covering the whole area.
Okay.
You know, it's very obvious to them immediately that it was a homicide. She had a gunshot wound to the back of the head, and her hands were tied up with duct tape.
Oh.
She was wearing what they considered a modest, traditional type of gray dress. It was very long, and she had her hair pinned back in a bun, and she also had a white jacket with her. And so they were pretty sure by her style of dress that she was from the Mennonite community. She also didn't have any underwear on. And there were drag marks that were obvious that her body had been pulled to that area. But it looked like a carry than a pull.
Oh, okay.
But there's no bullet casings anywhere nearby. There was no good evidence besides she did have her cell phone on her body. So her fingerprints were immediately identified as the body of missing 27-year-old Sasha Krause. And she had gone missing from her Mennonite compound in Farmington, New Mexico, which is about 300 miles or 483 kilometers. She went missing January 18th. So her body was missing for about a month. Her body had been there for probably about a month. So that's why it was obvious that she had passed away. She was a Sunday school teacher for preschoolers, and she lived and worked on the Lamp and Light compound. And it was like a dormitory style area, so she had like roommates and stuff. It was just her, not her family.
Okay.
Her family was back home in Texas.
Okay.
The night that she went missing, she had let her roommates know that she had gone back to the school to pick up some supplies that she needed for the next days. She was probably prepping the preschool class for the very next day. And she ended up never coming home. And so that evening, when she should have come back, the same evening, her roommates called the police. And so that's how it became a missing persons. There was no evidence at the school that there was any kind of a struggle, but her car was still there. And the keys were with the car.
Oh, like in the car?
Like, I think so, yeah. It didn't seem like they were like dropped or anything. I'm guessing they were probably like they were there, or they were probably in the ignition. It did not say. But there's no cameras. So because her body had her phone, that was the only clue she had. The Mennonite community, that's a differing part. I'm guessing from the Amish is that they do drive vehicles, but they're not flashy. They're not even brightly colored. And their phones, they have them, but they're super duper basic. And most of them don't have the internet on the phone. Their houses don't have the internet, but they are allowed to use it for reasons they need it for. They do believe in technology, that there's a time and a place for it. I'm not sure about television, honestly. I didn't continue that far. So they checked her phone, and they didn't see anything out of the ordinary. No out of the ordinary phone calls, no text messages, nothing. And so after that, okay, they're gonna check the they're checking the cell phone towers in the area that her phone has connected to. And it's pinging. That's such an interesting word because it's going to be used a bit. It's pinging off of cell phone towers all the way towards Arizona.
Oh, okay.
And so unfortunately, this was all that they had. So just these cell phone towers, and that's it. So at the same time, what they decided they were going to do, the investigators, what they were going to do is they were checking those same exact cell phone towers. Whose phone is pinging at the exact same time.
Okay.
So there's only one other phone that is hitting those cell phone towers at the same exact time, even when there are reception breaks. The man was named Mark Gooch.
Okay.
So Mark worked at Luke Air Force Base. He's 22 years old. And Luke Air Force Base is in Arizona, and he's an airman, which is just like the all-encompassing term of when you've enlisted, and he's a mechanic, and he's working his way up. But there's nothing wrong with being an airman. It's just your title as your job in the Air Force. That's all. Looking at this man and Sasha, they had nothing in common. You know, the Mennonites are pacifists. They do not believe in the military and going to war and stuff. So that's something that they don't believe in or support, really. So besides the phone, they still don't have any other suspects. So they figure they're going to talk to him and interview him because, you know, that's the only thing that they have. So most of this is going to come off of the interview I got to see.
Oh, okay.
So, but like I said, I have shortened it, but it's totally worth the watch. The detective on the case, the head detective, her name is Lauren Nagel. And if you read articles, it's going to say Detective Lauren Jones because she had gotten married during the trial.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just going to go as Nagel because that's when this was taking place. So Detective Nagel is the head of this case, and she drives to Luke Air Force Base to interview him so that he's, you know, comfortable in his own. He's not being arrested and not detained. They're just talking to him in what is actually the interrogation room for the, you know, the military police there on base. So he's from Wisconsin, and his family were dairy farmers. He has 6 siblings, 3 brothers and 3 sisters. And he's the baby of the whole family. He's not really close to most of his siblings. The family had left the church later, and he also wasn't born into the church.
Oh, okay.
So they, you know, families trying out some faith, and they tried that and found that it wasn't for them in the end. And then all the kids went their separate ways, as kids do. He went into the military, and his family didn't really like that either because they still were of that pacifist, but he wanted his freedom, you know. So that's a choice he made.
Yeah.
So he said he wasn't close to any of his family really, except the closest person would be his brother Sam, and who's older than him. He's always been a mechanic, or he did a little bit of construction when he was younger, living back home in Wisconsin, but he's still a mechanic. When he was asked about his life, when they hit the topic of his faith, he kind of he doesn't seem comfortable, and he's like dancing around the topic, and he was like, well, we used to attend church a lot, but because of COVID, it got shut down, and so I don't have a church out here, but I did used to go to church, but I don't have a church out here anymore. When Detective Nagel was talking to him more about that, this is when he brought up more about being Mennonite, and that he explained it to her a little bit, and she was like, oh, that's really interesting. And he said that, you know, it was okay, but that it was really sheltered, and it was not what he wanted. He didn't like it. He was like a more outgoing kid. And then again, not being born into it, like he probably left a lot of stuff. And that was probably kind of a bummer for him. So when he left at 18, then he joined the military. And this is their conversation they're having. And she's noticing that he's really like fussing and fidgeting around while they're talking about his upbringing and the church and stuff.
Yeah, it's not a topic he wants to cover.
No, he's not comfortable by it. So he said that he was talking about traveling to New Mexico because he was looking for a new church. But when he was originally asked if he had done any traveling, he had said, no, not really. Not really. Like, it's not a huge drive, but it still was a bit of a drive from the distance that he had to go to. So he's mentioning, you know, he was traveling to these churches, and then he had traveled to Flagstaff to go to a ski resort called the Arizona Snow Bowl. But that it was closed because it was COVID. Well, the thing is what he doesn't know is that all the you know, they're listening to this interview, and they're double pane glass and stuff, but it's not like that. But they're watching and recording, so they're listening. And the investigators looked it up, and actually the Arizona Snow Bowl was still open up until March, because you have to remember, we know COVID had just happened. January, nothing happened yet. Yeah, my daughter was still in public school. Yeah, nothing happened until like March. It closed the week before they were supposed to go into spring break. So yeah, anyway, so Detective Nagel, she is kind of gently, but she's kind of confronting him on these little inconsistencies. No, I didn't really travel. Like, I used to go to church and now I don't anymore. I went to go to this snow. Like, nothing's lining up. And this is only a month after this trip. You're going to remember. Probably not. It's not like you just forgot. It was only a month before. So, he's apologizing and he's saying, like, he's just tired. Like, he's, this isn't really fun. Being interviewed isn't fun. No. So, she just moves on to asking him about his road trip. When did it start? And he said, well, fairly early. And so she's like, okay, well, what time is fairly early to you? He's in the military. For fairly early to me would be like he left at 5. Yeah. So my dad woke up at 5 my whole life because of the military. Like, he was always awake. He couldn't leave that schedule. So he says that it was actually at about 7, and he got to the church he wanted to see at about 2:00. And he went inside to find, like a service announcement or a bulletin board to see when services were going to be. And he checked and he found one, and it was like, oh, there was only church on Sunday. What he doesn't know is that Detective Nagel has actually already been there to that church. Yeah. She has already searched this stuff and found out that there is no such notice like that anywhere that she checked around the entire building. So she knows this is a lie as well. He wanted to get back really early the very next day to go hiking with his friend, who he just mentions, because last name's in the military, as Kepfley. He said they'd been on the phone that day and that they were making plans, but phone records actually show that, nope, the only thing between the two of them show Kepfley asking if they wanted to go to the swap meet, which is like a flea market. So there's no phone call with Kepfley, just one text message that Mark didn't even answer. The one phone call was to his brother Sam. Okay. It was the same day that Sasha had gone missing. Okay. And there were 6 phone calls with his brother Sam that time, totaling almost 2.5 hours, which was more than the two of them had talked in the last 6 months.
Yeah, I was going to say, he combined, said he wasn't really close with any of them.
No, but yeah, exactly. He's like, no, I wasn't really close with that many. And then when she had pressed him, he was like, oh, well, I guess my brother Sam. Yeah. So, like, if someone asked me, I would be like, well, yeah, my sister, duh, I'm super close with her. So you'd bring it up. You wouldn't just be like, oh, well, kind of. So he's telling her that he didn't really stop anywhere, but like he did fill up to get gas at one point, which is normal. It's a few hour drive. Actually, no, I think it was like a 6-hour drive from the distance he went. Oh yeah. And so, he said he got home really late. So again, she's like, well, what time for you is really late? And so he's like, okay, well, I got back and then he pauses. Now, the crazy part is when you're watching the interview, he pauses for 8 full seconds, which doesn't seem like a lot. But if you and I are sitting here.
That is a long time.
That was 8 seconds.
That's a long time. I couldn't even stay quiet that long.
No. You were laughing. I know, right? That was 8 seconds of like, dead air.
Yeah.
And then he's like, about 8 or 9. The thing is, it was only a month ago. Yeah. A trip? Like, you're going to remember.
You would probably remember.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what they talk about. You're going to remember a trip, especially if it was like an out of the ordinary trip, because you don't really travel. Yeah. So you're going to remember, you're going to be like, oh, well, it didn't work out like I thought. There was no skiing. The church sucked. I came home. Like, you're going to remember because it was probably kind of disappointing. So he says that he didn't stop, right? But his phone had pinged at the Sunset Crater National Park for several hours.
Oh, yeah.
So in reality, he got back to the base. It shows him clocking in at the gate at 6:53 a.m.
the
next day.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So where the fuck was he for like, it was like a weird 11-hour gap, 10 or 11 hours.
Uh-huh.
So he doesn't really have an answer for that. And when she's like, okay, well, you just lied. So what is it really?
Yeah. What's the real story?
Mm-hmm. And so then he kind of backpedals and he was like, well, I was really tired and I didn't want to be dangerous. So I kept pulling over to try to sleep, but I couldn't sleep. So then he'd drive and stop and sleep and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, why didn't he just say that? She asked him, did you stop anywhere?
Yeah. I stopped multiple times because I was tired.
Because I was tired and scared I was going to wreck.
Like he's just making this up as he's going.
Yeah, he's just sitting there and he's really like, it's just weird,
Mm-hmm.
It's really strange. But besides that, like, he does have mannerisms, but he's answering. It's like, no, ma'am. Yeah, he's super polite and everything. It's fine. He's just lying.
Yeah.
So, then he was asked if she's like, so did you happen to go, back to Flagstaff, Arizona, like that area at all?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing he says next is really strange. This is a quote, not to my knowledge. When do you travel and you don't know?
Not to my knowledge.
So someone knocked you out and maybe took you somewhere?
Yeah.
Like, who says that? Why would you say that like that? And so she's like, well, we know you. I'm so sorry. It has been a few months. I realize, like, her body was found. They've started lining stuff up.
So not
and
a
then
month.
They've gotten to him. No, it's been a couple months. It's been like 2.5 months. But still, you're gonna remember, like, you taking a road trip. That was kind of important because you were on a mission. And recently, because I'm like looking at my notes. I was like, oh, farts. So, she says, okay, well, we know that she went back to the Flagstaff area for 2 days from the phone towers and you checking out of the gate. Like, there's a security camera you can see. So then she just decided, like, let's change the subject. Let's go back to asking you about that religion you like talking about so much, And so he's kind of like avoiding the topic. Like, he's just not really answering very much because she's asking him, so, you don't really seem super comfortable. Like, did something happen to you, like, in the church? Did something happen in the family? Like, maybe, well, what's going on? Because she knows, because she's already talked to everybody back home.
Okay.
And he's like, no, nothing happened. Like, we just weren't really, it wasn't what I wanted. We weren't really happy anymore. And I left the church because my family left the church. And so she was like, oh, okay, And at this time, to correlate with his feelings about the Mennonite church as they've been going through later, and there's going to be some fun text evidence between him and his other brothers too. All of them talking about being happy because one of their brothers is a police officer, and he was bragging about just pulling over some Mennonites and giving them, like, every ticket he possibly could, and coughing on them and hoping he gave them COVID. So I'm guessing he was sick.
Yeah.
And they were all, like, hooting and hollering in text messages and, like, I hope you treated them like shit, like their exact words. Yeah. So obviously she already's, like, got a feeling. And so at the very same time in Wisconsin, Sam is being interrogated. So Detective Nagel now is like, hey, so we just thought we'd let you know that your brother's being questioned right now. And I just wanted to let you know that he's talking a little bit, he's opening up and sharing. And so hopefully your guys' stories match up the same. Because that would be important. And at this moment, Mark's attitude changes completely. He, like, stiffens up, he crosses, and he's like, you're talking to my brother? And they're like, yeah, And he said, so if you're talking to my brother, then that means that you're trying to pin something on me.
What?
We did not bring up. They didn't bring up anything at all.
Yeah.
They're just talking to him.
Yeah.
And seeing what he's been doing. Because in reality, if you want to be like that, you could be like, well, you guys could have both been in the same exact car next to each other. Maybe you saw her. Maybe you saw what car she was in. Maybe you saw who she was with. But that's the direction you decide to take.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so he immediately asked for a lawyer at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So they, you know, he lawyers up and they are able with probable cause to get a search warrant for his phone, car, and the dorm that he lives in. It's on base housing, like dormitory style. And so he's arrested, you know, at this point, and just like he's being held under suspicion, you know, how in the search warrant. So
not formally charged with anything, just held under.
And he's been Mirandized.
Yeah.
So they find a receipt, like it doesn't specify if it's in the car or in his dorm, but I think it's in the car. They find a receipt for, I believe it was a $220 deep detail cleaning of the inside of his interior. And it was for February 23rd, which was one day after the public was notified that the body of Sasha Krause had been found.
Oh.
Yeah. So there were also some mysterious red stains that were on the floor mat. And there were a box of black nitrile gloves that were still in the car. So I'm guessing he probably left it in there. And if you leave stuff in there, they'll kind of take it out, clean around it, and put it back. Yeah. So
not throw it out.
Exactly. So his phone during the search showed that he had deleted a lot of Google info. You know, if you have a Google account on your phone, you can do everything from it. You don't have to have a computer. So they were able to look and find that the very moment when he got back that morning from his trip to New Mexico is when he deleted it all. January 19th, the day that Sasha went missing. So he had also deleted many text messages to Sam that were talking about the brothers and how they loved, you know, they were treating the Mennonites badly. And then specifically some conversations between Mark and Sam talking about how Mark was doing surveillance on the Mennonite communities. But that could cover his story because he did tell detectives he is looking for another church. Yeah. And he's in the military, but surveillance is just a weird word to use about, like, I'm scoping out a new church community. So anyway, now investigators have decided to move on to the people that are around him. So people that he knew in the past and people that he knows currently. So they're interviewing one of his close friends from basic training. And, oh crap, I left his name out. Sorry. And he said that he was a really good guy, but that he did tend to have a temper. He liked the rules and respect of the military, and so when people acted out, that bothered him. But that he did remember one time there was a text message between him and a couple of their friends. They were in like a chat group together because they were hoping they could get into special ops, and the special ops tends to kind of, people know that's the more dangerous part of the job. And Mark is quoted, this is directly from a text message: "I would like to get paid to kill people."
What?
Yeah.
And Mark said that?
Yes, Mark said this to his friends. And
okay.
I found it really funny because Detective Nagel, like, she has this information. She has the records, and because he brings
just not
it up
playing all her cards.
No, but she brings it up first to this guy, and he's the one, I'm sorry, he's the one who brought it up first, the story. And she's like, "Oh, is it this?" And she slides it, and he's like, "Yep, that's that." And she was like, why would you not say that was like unacceptable,
Yeah.
And he was kind of like, well, because we're in the military, they're meaning it's the enemy, not like civilian innocent people, blah blah blah. But she's like, okay, like that's still weird. But I hate to say it, but I have personally heard 2 separate people say shit like that when they go into the military. I think some people go into the military for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
So his best friend, who was the one that they had talked about going to the flea market, swap meet, Kemper, his name's Kemper, Kepflea. So I'll just refer to him as Kemper. He says, he tells the investigators that Mark had kept a secret gun on base.
Oh.
But that he had given it to one of his friends for storage off base, because you can't keep a firearm in your dorm on base.
Yeah.
You can't do that. So they hunted down the friend. They were able to find him, and his name is Jeremiah Levesque. And they got a hold of him, and he immediately gave the gun up. They tested it, and it was the same caliber as the bullet that killed Sasha, a 22 caliber. So right after this happened, it's crazy because it really did, like a lot of these cases, as soon as they get going, sometimes it's amazing how fast it happens.
Yeah.
So right after that, Kemper calls investigators, and he says that he was texted by Sam, Mark's brother, saying that Mark had told him that, so Mark had told Sam that Kemper would help him out with some of his possessions. So that's very, a blanket term for
possessions
what kind of
could be
things.
Like books. It could be, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, Kemper did the right thing, and he called the police immediately and let them know this. And so they agreed, like, okay, let's go with this. Are you okay with going with this and seeing where it goes? And he agrees. So through the grapevine, Kemper has found out that Mark's brother Sam has gotten hold of Jeremiah, because he still thinks that Jeremiah has the gun, even though the police have it already. And
he's trying to help his cover up.
Yeah. So Jeremiah agrees to be wiretapped on his cell phone so that they can listen to the phone call that they're going to have soon. This phone call comes in, and Sam is there was a text message, first, of Sam telling Jeremiah, like, okay, if you don't want to keep the gun, I guess I'll handle it. But you could tell he was like tentative, but he was still going to do it. So this is the phone call, and Sam is traveling to Arizona. So he wants to get the gun so that police can't get it, because Sam still lives back home in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So that's a drive.
That's a drive.
It really is. It's like almost cross country.
That is a drive, to get a gun to cover up for your brother.
So Jeremiah agreed that they'll get together, and they're gonna hand off this gun. So Jeremiah has a replica, and they move in. There's this police footage of it in this video that I watched, and their police are waiting. They're watching. Sam walks over, gets out of his truck, goes over to Jeremiah's vehicle. They just immediately pass it off. And as he's walking back, Sam is walking back to his vehicle, the police immediately zoom in, because in theory they could be like, you have a gun, like you can't just hand off a gun like that in a Target parking lot. Like, it looked like a gas station Target or something. It was weird. So Sam is immediately arrested for this. Detective Troy Short is the one that had interrogated Sam in Wisconsin. And so now he's back, and he's with him again. And he talks to Sam about the super long conversation that him and his brother had that morning. The gun, why are you covering up for Mark?
Yeah.
And he sits there, he's handcuffed, and he sits there in his chair, and he's just like listening and nodding and stuff. But in the end, he relays the same thing over and over again. He's just saying that he's not going to say anything, because he says, I don't feel that you have my best interests in mind. And so he's under arrest, but he has not asked for a lawyer yet. But he's not saying anything anyway.
Okay.
And so he has been, one of the lies that now Detective Short is letting him know is like, dude, when I talked to you, I'd asked you if Mark had any weapons or any guns or anything like that, and you said nope.
Mm-hmm.
And there were so many pictures directly from his dorm room of like dozens of weapons.
Oh.
Like the gun was not there. The box was the gun box that looks like our microphone boxes.
Yeah.
Is very similar. But just like a million different like hand weapons of like so many weird knives. They were strange looking. Yeah, it was really interesting. So after Sam doesn't say anything. He doesn't say anything. So he's arrested and booked for like tampering and obstruction and stuff like that.
Justice, yeah.
And then I think he did get some kind of, probably I would imagine, a weapons charge because that wasn't his gun. Yada yada. That's not. So I'm not sure, but I don't think so. So at this point now, Detective Nagel is going into Mark's past, and he's talking to people that he knew back then. She's talking to his pastor back home in Wisconsin. His name is James Martin, and he said that unfortunately nobody in his Mennonite community back home was surprised that he got arrested for anything, because all he did back then was he was involved in several church robberies.
What?
Yes, and the Pastor Martin, sorry, I was trying to look back at his name. He talked about how Mark liked to take revenge on people. He didn't go into detail about that, but that was just enough, Yeah. And when he would get mad, he would like stalk around town and like check out what he could steal.
Yeah.
And he did. And he still kept those belongings. They were in
his dorm.
What? They were. Yeah, it's weird. Like all these women's rings. They seemed quite pretty for being like more of a modest community.
Yeah.
But maybe they were wedding rings, so that was like maybe an like an investment for the family. That was like something you had in case. I don't know. They were really beautiful actually. But yeah, he had all this. There's like photo evidence of these things in his room that just didn't match up. There's no reason you should have that many. So what ended up happening? You remember how Mark said, "Oh yeah, we left the church when I left when my parents left."
Yeah.
His family left the church because the church wanted to punish him in their own way.
Oh.
And they were like, "You're not gonna punish our precious baby child boy," and they left the church. So he had moved apparently after this to a Mennonite community in Pennsylvania, where he had been accused of stealing money from the local parishioners. And when they had all gathered together with like their church elder and confronted him about it, conveniently after this, every single one of the people who had accused him of stealing money from them, their cars stopped working.
Oh.
And when they were checked, there was sand in the gas pan. So that means that's what
he had put sand in
their engine, in their gas tank.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly.
Process of elimination here.
So he had also allegedly robbed the pastor's family store. They had like the general store in the area. And but of course, what have we mentioned in several episodes about those good old security cameras?
They weren't working, or it was bad
quality. Memory card was stolen.
Oh.
Yeah. So the memory card was stolen from all of their security cameras. These videos were found on Mark's phone.
Oh, of course they were.
And it definitely looks like Mark was the one stealing. And it definitely looked like his car was the car in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Why would you keep all the evidence? It's so weird to me.
It's one of those dumb criminals.
Exactly. And it's like, you want to just keep because the thing was, it had nothing to do with money. He just stole because he was a jerk.
Yeah.
And he wanted to keep it and be like, hey, I stole that from little Susan asshole or whatever he's thinking, because he's mad.
Yeah.
And because, they said he had a temper. So, one of the other things that they had found on his phone during their, search of his phone was there was also texts of from Sam asking to remotely wipe a close friend's phone, asking him like, hey, do you have so-and-so's PIN number? And this was a friend of his that he used to commit crimes with. I'm sorry. Like, they used to rob people together. And he was like, I don't believe that he deleted the text messages. So this leads to maybe Sam being a little bit more technologically inclined to have helped, like, maybe hide computer evidence.
Yeah.
2 brothers that were back home in Pennsylvania in that community he lived in for a little while. Oh, no, you know what? I'm sorry. I think they were from Wisconsin. It was like 1:30 in the morning. It was late. If you check the Instagram, you saw me hee-hawing because I wrote wrong because I was so tired. So 2 brothers, Andrew and Galen Headings, were interviewed. And Andrew was apparently kind of threatened. He felt threatened is the better way to word it. He felt threatened after he had asked Mark if Mark had stolen money from him. And at another point in their life, Galen had said that Mark had one time Mark had said that one time he had sexually assaulted a little girl that his sister was babysitting.
What?
And he said that he was like maybe 10 to 13 years old when he did it.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, that's old enough to know there's no business to be touching or playing doctor. It's gross. So, and this does not say, I'm not sure if like they were older and Mark had told Galen like, oh, it was around when I was 10 or 13, or when they were 10 and 13 is around then is when he had said it. It didn't say. So they don't have a lot, but they know they have enough. Mark's trial is set for September 24th, 2021. And by January of 2022, so just last year, Mark was found guilty of kidnapping and first-degree murder, and he got life.
Okay.
Sam pleaded guilty. I hate saying that. It just sounds wrong. Pled. I'm like, why isn't it pled? Sam pleaded guilty for, the covering up and the obstruction. The thing is, it does not say, and they did not tell us if Sam actually knew he killed her. It doesn't say.
Maybe he just knew he did some sort of a crime.
And he was just trying to help him.
Yeah. But that's a lot of talking to not tell your brother that you messed up or whatever.
But because he helped, he only got 3 years probation. To my knowledge, from all the articles I read and the interview, he never admitted to it. They have no idea how he kidnapped her. Like, why were her by the gun? Yeah, but like they didn't know. Like, was it exactly? They don't know. He never said. And there was no evidence of sexual assault that they said. So I'm thinking the panty thing. They never found underwear. There weren't underwear in his room. Maybe they left that out for her privacy. I don't know. I'm guessing because of the community. Maybe he just did to humiliate her. Yeah. Like, just, take off your underwear because, like, she would probably think something was going to happen. Yeah. Who knows? We really don't know. Wow. The most sad part about it is that Sasha and the whole Mennonite community forgave him immediately for what he did. And they said that they were going to continue to pray for him in the hope that he would reconcile. So, as we've done once before, I'm going to leave it on a nicer note. Her family, they didn't come to the trial. They were in Texas. What would it, it wouldn't solve anything. It wouldn't have done anything. So they wrote a letter to be read, and they said that Sasha was a good sister. She was very smart. She learned to read really early. She was very conscientious and determined, strong-willed, and was confident in a way that her sisters found her to be bossy. But they showed some pictures of her life, and the picture that I will put on Instagram is one of them. It's just the cutest. It's her reading to her little preschool class.
That's so cute.
Poor Sasha. So sad. Wow. Like, all of these are so sad.
Sounds like it was probably just
he was just
random.
Angry. Yep. He just literally went angry, see who he could get. It was nighttime, and that was the easiest way to make it happen. I think he just got lucky that he was probably just hanging out. And, like, whoever
and she
comes
was just
first,
by herself,
and she was just there.
Just came
It
first.
was heartbreaking, yeah.
Wow.
And, like, it's just crazy. And then you're like, what happened to that kid? Like, what happened to him? I mean, nature versus nurture, but, like, he seemed very touchy about the church.
Yeah.
And the thing is, one of the things he brought up during the interrogation by Detective Nagel, she asks him, like, what do you think should happen to the person, like, whoever did this? And he kind of, like, pauses, and he's sort of like, well, you know, like, I don't know. And he's like, I guess they should, you know, have to answer to his words were like, they should have to answer to the law. But then he was like, but this is the weirdest thing. You have to watch it. The link is there. Okay. It's long, but, like, you have to watch it. Just anybody go watch it. And he's like, well, but I don't know, maybe the Mennonite community has, like, a different way of handling things. Well, of course he would know, because he was about to get punished back in the day. And the thing is my brain immediately goes to, I know some religions, like, again, personally, that have done cover-ups for things that were inappropriate. What if they did too? Like, what if something happened to him and then he perpetuated maybe that sexual abuse? It's not okay. But nobody knows why. And when he was fidgeting and acting uncomfortable and angry, like, the thing is, if you're robbing people and you're an asshole, you're probably not going to, like, be uncomfortable. You're going to be like, inside, you're just going to be like, they got what they deserve.
Yeah.
He seemed very uncomfortable from the initial mentioning of his old faith. Yeah. So I just wonder.
Yeah.
There's no answers, and I hate it.
I know. I hate it.
I'm sorry,
too. Maybe
but that's why it was just so crazy, because I read it and I was like, how did I not hear about this at all?
Yeah.
It's weird.
I don't think I've heard about it, and that was very recent. So
yeah.
Wow. Well, good job. That was very recent. Yeah, that was a lot. And usually whenever it's, like, recent, it's like, oh, they're going to be on parole this year or next year or last year, whatever.
I was so surprised, because I was like, oh my God, this really did just, like, just got
happened.
Sentenced last winter.
Yeah, that is crazy.
We are at 805.
Oh my goodness. Thank you all for listening. We've been checking kind of regularly, and we went
from, like, 16 listens in a week to 46 in a day.
Yeah, I know. It's probably all the people catching up, because we've been good on releasing every Tuesday.
We are good, and we're gonna keep going.
We are, so keep listening, because we will keep bringing it every week. So with that, stay crafty
and not crimey.
Bye.